All right, let's get into this because it's a wild story. We're going to unpack how a couple of founders built $1.5 billion AI company in, well, just 3 years. It's an absolute masterclass in speed, focus, and, seeing a huge opportunity that pretty much everyone else was missing. First off, just look at that number, $1.5 billion. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's a staggering valuation for any company. But what really makes your jaw drop is the timeline. That's right, 3 years. So the question is obvious, right? How on earth did they do that? How do you build something that valuable, that fast, in what's got to be one of the most competitive industries on the entire planet? Okay, so let's start with the what. The company's name is Fall, and what they do is they run a generative media platform for developers. So in simple terms, they take all these incredibly powerful, but also incredibly complicated AI models for images and video, and they make them super simple for developers to use. It's kind of like making it as easy as plugging something into a wall socket. And look, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky valuation. The numbers are real. We're talking $90 million in annualized revenue, a brand new $125 million funding round. This isn't just hype. It's a legitimate business that big names like Adobe, Canva, and Shopify already rely on. But behind every crazy number like that, there's always a human story. So let's get to the who. We're talking about two founders, longtime friends who both came from Turkey. And their journey is, well, it's a classic immigrant story with a modern tech twist. They came over to the US for college. They had this amazing education in math and science, but then they hit a wall. They had to deal with the whole US job market, internships, and that incredibly long, painful green card process. For years, they felt kind of trapped, working for big tech companies just to stay in the country. And this quote, this says it all. This was the turning point. The moment their immigration status was finally secure, it was like this massive weight was just lifted off their shoulders. For the very first time, they weren't tied to a job just for a visa. They were actually free. And what did they do with that freedom? They went for it. They went all in on their own thing. So what was this big idea they went all in on? This is where you can really see their strategic genius. They spotted this huge, untapped niche in the middle of the whole AI explosion. See, while the rest of the world was completely obsessed with large language models, LLMs, things like ChatGPT that generate text, they had this different thought. They basically said, we feel that same excitement, but for images. They saw that image and video models were the smaller, kind of ignored market at the time, and they made a huge bet that it was about to blow up in the exact same way. This quote really is their whole philosophy in a nutshell. It's not just about finding any old niche. Lots of niches are small, and they stay small. No, they were both smart and, frankly, a little lucky. They found a niche that was small enough for them to actually dominate, but that was also growing like crazy. Now, having the right idea, that's one thing, but actually executing on it, that's a whole different ballgame. Their success wasn't just about what they saw, it was about how they operated, and their whole playbook was built on one single principle, just radical, insane speed. I absolutely love this quote because it just shows you their mindset. They're not talking about being a little bit faster than the competition. They're talking about operating on a completely different timescale. It's like whatever you think is fast, multiply by 100. That's how fast you need to go. So how do they actually do that? Well, they have this day zero process. It's relentless. A hot new AI model drops, and on day zero, they're already on it. They test it like crazy, no cherry-picked demos, the real deal. Then their own internal engine makes it run 2 to 3 times faster. And then, bam, they release it to developers right away, while other companies are still just writing blog posts about it. And all this incredible speed, it isn't just chaos. It's guided by a few really clear core principles. First, stay specific. They totally resisted the temptation to get into language models and just went deeper and deeper on images and video, building a real technical edge. Second, monetize from day one. They think revenue is the best, clear signal you're building something people actually need. And third, and this is a big one, latency kills creativity. They're obsessed with speed because they know that for a creator, every millisecond of waiting just kills the creative flow. So what's the end game here? What's next? Because their ambition is way bigger than just building a successful startup. They are positioning themselves to be the engine for the next version of the internet. They have this belief that the big Chat GPT moment for video, that one breakthrough that just changes everything, it hasn't quite happened yet, but all the signs are there. We are getting really, really close. And what has Vali been doing for the last 3 years? Building the exact infrastructure that's going to be needed to power it when it finally arrives. And that right there is their grand vision. They want Files to be the essential go-to infrastructure layer for all of this new technology. So when a developer or an artist or a gaming company wants to build something cool with AI-generated images or video or audio, they want the first thought to be, we have to do this through File, which really leaves us with this one big, fascinating question. We know AI is going to generate a massive part of our digital future. That seems certain. But the story of File shows that the biggest question might not be what gets created, but who builds the foundational tools that will make it all possible.